Stop the cap.
I have not felt the desire to make a video lately. I think I've mentally checked out of the whole gender war because I just recognize at this point just how many women are not having conversations in good faith. I do pick up on the fact that there's some guys in my comment section that just want to dunk on black women. I know who they are. There's not really anything I can do about it with as open as my page is, and a lot of their comments are I don't want to say subliminal, but you know what I mean. Their comments are basically the equivalent of the disingenuous black women. Like their comments have like extra levels of hate in it or extra sprinkles, of it. Like they just can't like look at it objectively. Like it's like when I'm saying certain things about black women, I'm looking at it objectively. You know what I mean? I only take it as far as it needs to go or as far as the conversation needs to go. Like example, this whole thing recently with Media Man has been coming out. Kevin Samuels was the first one to bring it to our attention, and a lot of black women tried to counter with this whole idea that 80% of black men have kids. That is not what that other chart says from the CDC. That says basically that by the age of 49, the men who have kids, the fathers, which is 46%, of black men, 80% of those men have kids by the time that they're 49. And then the other, 20% have kids after 49. So 50 all the way up until like you're, freaking Robert De Niro and Al Pacino with them, having kids in their fucking 80s. But I got a lot of pushback, even though it's right there on the CDC in black and white, says it right there, you know, posted up on the screen. And I'm gonna make a whole, separate video of that. But there's no ambiguity, to what the actual post says. Hold on one second. Let me make sure I go over here and pull it up and read it. It says, wait, it says a higher percentage of Hispanic women, regardless of nativity, which means regardless of whether they were born in America or not, nativity status, 62.4%, and non Hispanic black women, 61.0%, had ever had a biological child, followed by non Hispanic white, 54.6%, and non Hispanic Asian, 47.9%. The percentage of Hispanic men, regardless of nativity status, who had ever fathered a child, 50.1% was higher than non-Hispanic white, 43.9%, and non-Hispanic Asian, 35.0% men, and was similar to the percentage for non-Hispanic black men, 46.0%. That means that 54% of black men do not have children, which means with black women, 61% of black women who have children, that we have 54% of black men seeking out 39% of black women. And, listening to, and what I was going to talk about, which is not this whole, the CDC and all that, but it's tied into this because I was listening to Ebony K. Williams with her conversation with Toure. And, towards the end of the video, she was like, well, how many men, what is it? How many men, are over the age of 40 and don't have kids or haven't started a family? And even Toure, and this is the whole problem with the black community. This is the whole problem. And this is the issue that I have, where everybody in the black community runs around with like these old wives' tales about, black men. And again, the vast majority of it is tied to racism and white supremacy. They go out there, they say negative things about black men. Everybody just believes it. They just consume it. Nobody questions it. And then that permeates the culture, and everybody just takes it at face value. Then when you take the time to actually sit there and go over there and look up the numbers, that's not what it is. I mean, I'm highly pissed off, about the fact that, we sat here and wasted decades having these conversations, and I'm saying I'm guilty of it myself. Talking about y'all niggas got kids all over the place, and y'all niggas this and this dustiness, and y'all niggas and black men are sexually irresponsible, and then y'all need to use condoms. And the majority, I cannot emphasize that word enough. The majority of black men do not have children and will never have children. Over 50%. Again, which reinforces what we've been saying, which is that the majority of black women, 61% of them, are sharing black men and only, sleeping with and procreating with a select number of black men. For whatever reason, however they deem, obviously, if they're having those men's babies, they found something attractive about them. They deem something about them desirable, whether they're tall or good looking, fame, game, money, or looks, or swag, whatever it is. Even on some immature shit, doesn't matter. The women are getting pregnant and they're having babies, which goes back to the whole concept of, you can't throw a rock without hitting a single mother, which is what I came online saying. I'm like, God damn, it's like all these black women, they all got fucking kids. Like, what the hell? Again, 54% of black men looking for 39% of black women. I mean, that whole, there's ABC special Martha Stewart, which I can't even find on YouTube anymore. There's only 3 black men for every 100 black women, which, I mean, just right off top, the absurdity of that, which assumes that all black women are wifey material. It's like, damn, just don't even ask men what they're looking for. How many fat bitches are in there? How many single mothers are in there? Because according to the CDC, 61% of the women in that population, would be, well, maybe not 61%, but I'm saying, I'm looking at the 61% of the fact that we got, 61% of women are single mothers. And then, all these women that will be, 61% of women are mothers in the black community. And the fact that you already know in that 100% or 100 women that Martha Stewart was talking about, there'd be a whole bunch of single mothers in there that shouldn't even be in the dating mix of childless men looking for women to date. But that's what the demographics are in the black community. And see, the thing is like, I mean, that flips just everything. Before I even get into this Eboni K. Williams thing, that just flips everything. Black women running around screaming, oh, we ain't got nothing to choose from. There's dust everywhere. The dust, again, I wish I had the numbers in front of me, but, when it comes to men making, 6 figures, there's more black men making 6 figures, than black women. You got black women running around with their underwater basket weaving degrees and a whole bunch of student loan debt talking about, how much they're better than black. I mean, we just live in a world where these women, they want to feel that they're better than black men. And just like that sister that was on Antoine's show, the one that laid out with the raspy voice, I'm like, what do you smoke black and miles every day? But anyway, where she said, what I've been saying, which is that one of the primary reasons these women go out here and they get with these Pookies and Ray Rays and Dusties and everything is because, they can play the victim. If you go out there and you get with a square and you get with a man that has a low propensity to do some fuck shit to you, you can't be the victim. You have to live up, to his expectations. You got to live up to what he's looking for. And again, the whole matriarchal orientation in the black community, black women are not geared in that direction. And unfortunately, when, talking about Eboni K. Williams, she wasn't geared in that direction. Listening to her, which, the whole Toure interview, I think it humanized her to a great degree. I think that it helped her look more like a real person as opposed to like this robot that she comes off as. I mean, hell, she liberally uses the word nigga like I do. Who's sending me a message? Okay. Yeah, she uses the word nigga like I do. And she was joking and all that. I know some people are going to be like, oh, it's fake and we don't like her and whatever. I'm not even getting all of that. I'm just saying I think the interview made her look more human. But, talking about, now let's get into the interview. Let's talk about the interview and the things that I saw that were, were the problematic. and the things that she said that like we'll dive into a little bit later. Um. Okay, the first part with her mother, even though they started off with the my I as a black woman, my beauty is rebellion. I'll get into that in a second because there's a whole colorism aspect I want to speak on that right quick. But the whole thing with her mother, I don't know. I identified this a while back. When she talked about she met her father at like what 37 or something like that. And she talked about how she only dealt with adults, and so I think that definitely tied into some of her quirkiness when it comes to her personality, her very dry personality, because she wasn't dealing with siblings, she was only dealing with adults, and so she only knew how to interact and deal with adults as opposed to having any sort of play interaction with other children that would be her peers. She brought that up as one of the drawbacks when it comes to dating certain people and they have siblings and she doesn't know how to deal. There's certain aspects of that, even like when I look at Captain Solo and a lot of the traumatic childhood that he had with his mother being shot, and all that, and the adults around him not doing what they should have done. He had to grow up very fast, and because of that, he lost a lot of the, joking around sort of funny nature that a lot of people expect with people who have a more balanced upbringing. So I definitely think that affected Eboni K. Williams, and I think that there's an aspect of Eboni K. Williams that is damaged. She's damaged. And, when it comes to damaged people, it's like, there becomes a point where you're so damaged, you might not want to have children. You might not want to bring children into the world because you have a lot of unresolved issues. Now, let her tell it. She's probably going to tell you, oh, I went to therapy, this, that, and the third. And, she says like later in there that she knows the gender. I'm hoping and not hoping that she has a girl. You know what I mean? I know people are going to say, well, we hope that you have a girl because you're going to really fuck up your son with the decisions that she's made. But even if she has a girl, I mean, all that's going to happen is the same thing that's been happening in the matriarchal black community since forever. And I had to think about even that 61% of black women who are mothers in the black community. And granted, some of those women are married. Like those are just the women that had, that have kids, right? So some of those women are married. Some of those women, are not on the market because, it's not just all 61% of those women are single mothers. Some of those women are married. So let's keep that in mind and keep that in perspective. But the thing is like that CDC report really wasn't even, it's not even about black men and who has kids and who doesn't have kids. What it's about is about poverty. And it's about how, children born to single mothers and children that have parents that are less educated, have a distinct disadvantage. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, with that, 54% of black men that don't have kids, and it's like, and again, the whole narrative that black men are the face of sexual irresponsibility. And you have black women that have all these kids and there's 1.79 million more black women than black men. Like that's crazy. And some people they were bringing up the whole thing about, well, some of those kids are over the fence. That's irrelevant because, there's a lot of black men that have kids over the fence, and many of them, may be married to those women. Some of them are not married to those women. We don't know what the demographics are of who's married, who's not married, what kids are out of wedlock, whatever. But I don't think that people would disagree with the idea that if black men's interracial numbers are higher than black women, that there's probably more black men that have kids over the fence, out of wedlock or in wedlock, over the fence, period. And again, since we're just talking about black people and black relationships and black children, the kids over the fence, that's irrelevant to me. That's irrelevant to me. But hold on. But the thing is that the majority of black men don't have kids, and the majority of black women do have kids. And when we look at poverty, and we look at even like the situation with Eboni K. Williams, and you have women who are having kids, with these men that for whatever reason they laid up with them and had a baby by him, right? Because again, we're dealing with the a minority of men. I mean, hell, even my ex, her mother, her mother has, because she's got a sibling that is only her half sibling. Her mother, no, excuse me, her sibling's father, right? So my ex's sibling's father has 7 other kids by different women. You know what I mean? So like the shit really hits home, for me when it comes down to like this whole concept that we have a lot of black women that are sharing dudes. I mean, the men that have, you have men that have 3 to 4 children, and that's only 7.1% of the men that have children. It's very low. 3 to 4 children, and 7.1, 7.2 between the 3 and the 4. But the fact of the matter is when you look at those numbers and you look at how many more black women there are, black women definitely, even without going into the who's over the fence, black women definitely are sharing black men. And when you say the majority of black men don't have kids, it's like damn, like what is it? Every bitch in the high school wants to fuck the star basketball player, and the answer to that question is yes. That is exactly what is happening. But all these other guys, they don't have kids. But again, I'm getting away from myself. But the point I want to make is when we're talking about poverty, and again, that CDC report, and again, read it. I know people arguing with me, and they didn't even sit there and fucking read the goddamn thing. It's all in black and white, and basically, it talks about how when the men are older, they're typically married to the women when they do have kids. If they have kids when they're older, and if they're more educated, they're less likely to have kids. It's the least educated people who are having all the damn kids, which only further perpetuates and exacerbates poverty, which is where Kevin Samuels got many of his talking points. He got it from the CDC report. It's like uneducated, poor, poverty, and then you go out there and you have kids, back to back. Like that was another thing that got me, which was the likelihood of the women who had a baby. I think it was like in and around their 20s, whether it was below 20 or just above 20. And then they would have another baby 24 months later. I'm like, what? Like, yo, you can't even cover the first one. What are you doing having the second one? Right? And I'm sure there's a whole bunch of psychological shit going on. Oh, the fathers are not there. But the point that I'm trying to make here that I keep getting away from is the fact that, here you have 54% of black men that have no tree. They have no lineage. And when we're talking about, the black community and poverty and everything, all the problems in the black community, and you have women who are sleeping with a small number of men, and they're having just multiple generations of women, who are, you got the boys, they grow up in poverty, then you got the women that have the kids, but like this whole matriarchal bloodline is going through the women, because your mom was a single mom and she had you at 15, and then you go off, and then you have a kid at 15, and then the grandchild goes off and has a kid at 15. You know what I mean? Again, it's just that shit. Every time I think of that, 15, having a baby, which means the mom is going to be 30 and the daughter's going to be 15 in high school. I always think of Jim Jones, Come Home With Me. You know what I'm saying? Come home with me when grandmother's is 30. You know what I mean? Like that shit got me every time. Cause I remember, I grew up in the burbs and I love me some Dipset. People told me Heatmakers was the one that made the video. Made the music. I get it. It wasn't Kanye. I thought it was Kanye because he liked that chipmunk shit. But yeah, I used to love the Chipmunk, the sped up Chipmunk 1960s songs, with the greatness type of music, right? And Dipset had it, and I remember hearing that line in that song, when I was driving one time, and I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of low key mortified when I heard that Jim Jones say that lyric, "Come home with me, where grandmother's is 30." Like that shit fucked me up. I was like, what you mean where grandmother's is 30, meaning she had a baby at 15 and then the daughter had a baby at 15, which is now the baby's going to be like less than 1 cuz the baby was just born. I'm like, yo, that's crazy. That's crazy. But in any event, I'm saying, so when Eboni K. Williams is like, let's just say she has a daughter and she goes off and she does this. Now, granted, that child's not going to grow up in poverty, but here's the whole problem, right? It's like Eboni K. Williams' mother did everything, to get her to wherever she got her, and she got her there. But the problem is, like, it's almost like, what is the point of getting your child to the next level of not being in poverty and my baby's so successful and all this, but you didn't orient her to be able to function with a man. Like, what is the point? Like, everybody's talking about legacies and generational wealth, taking my phrase and shit and running with it. But everybody's running around legacies and generational wealth. Legacies and generational wealth. Like, even they brought it up in the whole Toure interview where, they were talking about how, like, Toure, and then I'll give him credit, even though he comes off as a little moist. But I'm saying, he brought up, like, when they got to talking about class. And Ebony is 100% right. Black folks don't like, and to me, it's refreshing hearing somebody who didn't come from the best circumstances actually acknowledge that, because I grew up, as many people would like to say, with a silver spoon in my mouth. And I understood the concepts of class. And that's a very difficult conversation to have with most black people. Most black people believe in this slavery was the great equalizer and white supremacy exists. And therefore all black people is in the same class. Nigga, you ain't no better than me. Like, a lot of black people have that. Everything that she said about, acting like everybody who has money is evil and all this other bullshit. That was 100% spot on. But a lot of black people, they got a problem with class. And everything Toure said about, class and the money coming together and how the person's going to spend it, how they think about money and all that. That's who you build with when you're talking about building legacies and generational wealth. And I'm not even talking about a power couple like he said. Like that, like we got to get that power couple shit, out of our minds. But, first off, that's just a smoke screen, for black feminists and matriarchs to try to leverage power in a relationship, which I'm going to get into, which is exactly what Eboni K. Williams, basically is trying to do. And I'm like, chick, you're not getting past me, when it comes to this. But hold on, let me gather my thoughts. I remember. Yeah. So talking about the legacies and generational wealth and being prepared for that, the whole, like, this whole narrative, like, again, if y'all are out here and you are only sleeping with a minority of black men for whatever stupid reasons, because y'all don't seem to know how to pick these guys. It seems like you all are not interested. Like, I'm not buying any of the shit that Ebony is saying, because, like, she starts off and she says, I've basically surpassed, whatever I thought the top was. So I'm just still going. And everything now is house money, right? Because I'm already there. I'm kicking ass, everything. It's all house money, right? And she's like, well, I get to sit here with you and this, and I have my show and all these accomplishments and everything else. And she's so hyper focused on her accomplishments and her achievements and everything, which, again, you're never going to convince me that she's not overcompensating. You know what I'm saying? And I guess maybe, I see it a little bit more because I come from the background that I came from, where, I had, educated parents, and so like the I where Ebony K. Williams was trying to get to, that was, and I'm saying she's definitely surpassed, even my own parents, you know what I mean? But I'm saying, where how I grew up, I knew that I was in a better position than the overwhelming vast majority of black people. Just to begin with, I already knew that. So a lot of the concepts that go into class and how you're supposed to act and behave and everything, they were reinforced on a daily basis. It wasn't an abstraction. I could look at the Cosby Show and I could say, okay, I'm like in that vicinity, where a lot of black people, from what I hear, in these, comment sections, people talked about it. The Cosby Show was like, that's not real. Okay. Like, I didn't look at the Cosby Show like that wasn't real. There's a lot of people, they look at the Jeffersons like, yeah, that's real. But the Cosby Show, that ain't real. Ain't nobody living it like that. They can't believe it. But the thing is like, there's certain, like, even what I brought up about the whole thing with like 2 sinks in a bathroom, if you have, more than one child, hell, if you have 3, you might put in 3 sinks in a bathroom. That floored Captain Solo, and it floored another brother in my comment section that was just like, damn, man, I had to go sit down when you said that. Like, what do you mean you don't share sinks with your sibling? It's like no, like, you got your sink, they got their sink, and your toothbrush is in front of you, and their toothbrush is in front of them. Like again, like, there's people, like, because of where they started, like that, those sort of little tiny things. That's not something that's majorly significant, but they don't have a concept of that. Or even something like, even in that article that I posted on the community tab of, people, like the whole thing in Jersey where they were trying to give somebody 15 years in prison because there was a gun in the car, but the car wasn't owned by the person who was driving the car that the gun was in. And in the article, what it talked about is how you have people who, like, in inner city situations, the people in poverty and stuff like that, like, there'll be multiple family members sharing one car because they don't have multiple vehicles. Where in the suburbs, if, let's say there's 3 kids, each one of those 3 kids will have their own car. This is to a lot of black people, that's unheard of. There's black people that they take public transportation. They take SEPTA to get to school in Philadelphia. They don't have their own car. And if they go and they finally get a car, guess who's got to go out there and try to pay for it? And when they get it, it'll be a highly used vehicle. Probably damn near doesn't work half the time. You know what I mean? Freaking quarter of the time, you see them in front of their row home with the hood popped open, looking in the engine, trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. And don't get me wrong, I envy some of those people that do develop mechanical skills. But because I never had to go through that. I never had to deal with that. Oh, the car is making noises. Take this credit card, go down to the dealership and figure out, get a $160 diagnostic and let them tell you what's wrong with the vehicle, and then we will go from there. That's how that shit works when you come from resources, But getting into it. So yeah, hearing Ebony K. Williams and Toure talk about that class component in the black community that a lot of black people are uncomfortable with, because black people, I think it's like a remnant from like slavery. It's like people want to hold on to the idea that there's no class in the black community because white supremacy always exists. Just like when we saw who was the brother, the damn, I can't think of what his name was. The guy that was like the professor, and the cops came to the house and he was arrested in his own house. I can't think of what his name is off the top of my head, but y'all remember the college professor. He's not Cornell West. He's the other guy. He does the DNA test and all that shit. Light skinned dude, right? And you had Obama tried to bring the cop and him to the White House. I can't think of who it was, but I know somebody's going to write it in the comments section. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of black people, they look at it like that, like, we all niggas, so, you can't be better than me, and then you can kind of, fall into this slippery slope of, crabs in a barrel type of mentality. But trying to think, what some other things that Eboni K. Williams. Oh, again, going back to her mother and her mother's teachings, and the whole concept. Like, if you're talking about legacies and generational wealth, that is connected to the unification of a man and a woman. Legacies and generational wealth are not some thing that you do independent. I've seen a lot of black women lately, even on We Need to Talk, that have been throwing around my legacies and generational. Like, I'm sitting there, I hear it in the back of my brain. I'm like, bitch, you don't have a legacy. Like the orientation is just so off. It's just completely off. When these women have these concepts, and it's like the whole idea of black men in the community has just been essentially destroyed, just in terms of, the concept of patriarchy, all that. The women, they'll dive into rape and pillage, and they'll sit there and they'll use, the minority of men that have kids in the black community, and how, if they don't stick around, how, that's why black, and then like smear that to all black men. And I'm like, 54% of us don't even have kids and will never have kids. It does not apply. But in any event, so Eboni brought up this whole, we're in fear, and this fear factor. And I do not like when Eboni does this, because consistently she's constantly trying to talk about dust or talk about us black women, even going back to the whole colorism thing that I was going to bring up. Because towards the end of the show, she's talking about, she's recognized since she was 6 years old that she has the aesthetic that is beautiful. And then in the face of white supremacy, right, in the face of when she went over there to Fox News to kick up dust, and she defied her agent. I mean, this is a defiant woman. Like, at every turn, she's like, she sees a challenge. She's like, I'm gonna defy that. And even Cap was like, does this bitch not know what she looks like? Eboni K. Williams is not the blackest woman in the world. She is no Viola Davis. She is no Josie, whatever. Who's the chick that just divorced that white man? The one that did the movie Queenie. I can't think of my names right now. I'm going blank. But anyway, she don't look like that. You know what I mean? She don't look like any chocolate sister. She's an AKA, and she even brings that up in the interview. And I'm like, bitch, AKAs are known for being high yellow bitches and light skin. Like, stop it. You know what I'm saying? That whole segment of it was just unnecessary. And it's like, do you not know, like, what you look like? Do you not, like, the privilege that you have, but then you try to act like you the blackest woman in the world, and you out here not kicking down doors. Like, no, bitch, like, you fucking are safe black. You are safe black. You are not offensively black. You ain't no goddamn Lupita Nyong'o. You know what I'm saying? You ain't. I mean, just to just picture Eboni K. Williams giving a speech like freaking Lupita Nyong'o when she won, what she won, the Oscars, the Grammy, whatever she won. Just imagine her giving a speech like, and this is the first time, and I just didn't realize, and just to have somebody up there and be up there that looks like me, like Eboni, there's been women that have looked like you since forever. You know what I mean? Like, she literally, on some, she's a rock star away from Jane Kennedy. She could be Jane Kennedy's cousin, like first cousin. Like, bitch, stop it. Like, stop it. You know what I mean? So that was a bit not only irritating, but it was disingenuous listening to her talk about the shit. About how she's, I'm just kicking this, this is Sparta. She's just kicking down the fuck out of here, man. Anyway, what else? Oh yeah, her bringing up the dust, and it's like Eboni, and it was so funny is, I don't know what her obsession is with the south of France, right? But she goes and starts talking about, she was like, well, I need to be with a man. Look, I agree with all this. You know what I mean? You making that type of money like Ebony is making, yeah, she needs to be with somebody, of that caliber. But you know what Ebony's problem is? Ebony is like, she's like, how people say trans people have body dysmorphia, right? They have body dysmorphia. Like all these people, the transsexual people, they it's like they want to be a man and a woman at the same time. And there's so many black women that have this problem. She acknowledged what Inyala Van Zandt said, but at the same time, like it's like it doesn't really click with her. That I'm like, in other words, it's more important for you to be the boss and run shit than it is, with this whole notion of, oh, I want a black man that's ahead of me and kicking ass. Because Ebony comes off to me like many of these other women, that she's going to have a problem with the power dynamic. Like even if Ebony K. Williams went out there and married the president of the United States, she would probably, after his term is over, divorce him so that she can run for president. You know what I mean? And it's like, Miss Ebony K. Williams, what should we call you now that you're running for president? Should we call you the ex-first lady or Miss President? You should call me all of that, everything. Ex-first lady, Miss President, boss bitch. That's what you should call me. It's like, okay, so you want to be known as his ex, and you were previously married, and you were the woman who was previously married to the president of the United States because he's got this kick-ass title and he's awesome, and that reflects on you, and he chose you, so you get the validation and everything else. But now you're going to pull out your dick and lay it on his forehead and show the world that you are also a boss bitch who's capable of being president of the United States as well. You know what I mean? On some Hillary Clinton type shit. And it's like, and again, going back to like her mother, it's like let me say this. I think that a lot of black women out here, if you were raised by a single black mother, if you really want to break the cycle, okay, do not do what Ebony K. Williams did. Because I'll tell you exactly where Ebony K. Williams, fucked up. Because she came to the realization too late. Okay? It is not always about what the fuck you want. Okay? Aside from the fact that she wants it all and nobody gets to have it all. But it is also about what the man wants. Like even the whole thing with her being in the relationship and the guy's 13 years older than her. And then she wants to have the baby. He's already got kids. Yeah, when he gets up there, he does not want to wake up 2:00 in the morning to feed a baby. This is why even Kevin Samuels shit, and even some of, the talk with, Dennis Sperling and stuff like that. I'm all this, I'm 50 plus years old and I need a young woman who's fertile to have children. Most dudes that age are not trying to have children. Most dudes that are fathers, again, as the CDC chart showed, most of the men who are fathers are 80% of them are fathers by the age of 49. And I'm saying many of those men started, in their 20s, late 20s, early to mid 30s. And so, they got teenage kids, what I mean? They're like, hey, I got like, I hear men talking about it, man, I got 3 more years to go, man. Shit, man, you know what I mean? My son, you know what I mean? He's 15 years old, man. I got 3 more years to go. You know what I'm saying? Which, in reality, I hear more men that don't have custody of their kids and they're paying child support, say that. But I also hear men who, are like, hey, man, I'm done. Technically, you're never done. You're always going to be a father. You know what I mean? There's other things that go on, like, down payments on homes, co-signing on a vehicle, other things that your child is gonna need as they go into adulthood. And again, if y'all think that that's not what you're supposed to do because black people don't understand money and generational wealth and how to give their kids a springboard and a leg up, then again, that's why black people stay poor and don't understand freaking generational wealth. They talk about it, but they don't really understand it. I mean, if y'all knew the type of money that uh white people are gifted as young adults to get their family, started, gifted to purchase a house. You know what I'm saying? Like, go to a white wedding. Them motherfuckers come there with envelopes. You know what I mean? You gonna need that. You know what I'm saying? Be stuffing that shit in them in the dude's jacket, stuffing it in his coat and stuff like that. Yeah. Because all that goes towards not only paying for the wedding, but also a down payment on a house so that they can get married, start a family, and don't end up being, one of these people that, they don't start, having kids until, they're well into their 30s, even though overall it's been pushed back because of the economy and, boomer economics and all that other bullshit, right? Because all the way up until about, 1990, people were having kids in their early 20s because they could actually go out here. The man could find a job, be gainfully employed, and support a family and buy a house. It may take them a little bit of time, but it was doable. Now it's like no longer doable. People are waiting till 31 and they have it always cracks me up because the white people are like, our birth rates are down and we must end Wade versus Roe and all this other shit. I'm like white people did it to themselves and they the one bitching about their birth rates are down. Like, I'm like, fuck out of here. Anyway. What else? What else am I covering about Eboni K. Williams and the whole the dust thing? I'm like, again, why don't you expound on the story about the dude in the South of France? She talking about, I ain't never seen black men, my own father and all these other individuals, black men, and I don't trust it, and we scared as black women. I'm like, you got all the niggas that you went to in law school, you got all the men that you rubbed shoulders with. You know what I mean? Like all the people that like were coming up in the same space as her, like the Mark Lamont Hills and all these other people, Toure, all these people that were in, the industry, right? Because she wasn't out here lawyering like that. She was out here, being, a part of, freaking ETV and all that other shit. All these like, these news anchor, talk about, whether it's BET or whether it's fucking, what's the shit that they're on now, the Griot, all that type of stuff floating around in that spaces. We've all seen it over the years. We've seen that. Okay, and I'm like, you mean to tell me in all these years you ain't come across no motherfuckers in those spaces? I don't buy it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Whether it's any sort of type of entertainer or person that's like in that type of space. I'm not buying that shit. Again, not when you're talking about, Charlemagne. I wouldn't tell you unless I experienced it, unless I wouldn't lie to you, Charlemagne. Yeah, sounds like experience to me, Eboni K. Williams. Yeah, well, I wouldn't lie to you, Charlemagne. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and what happened when you were dealing with the dude that had a 2-week vacation in the south of France? Well, Eboni K. Williams going to be out there in L.A. Eboni K. Williams going to be at the lawyers conference. Again, that was your shot, and you blew it. Plain and simple. Now, granted, that's just one dude, but I'm saying, why do we hear about all this dust that she doesn't even deal with? You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, how are you getting trips to the south of France, but all you want to do is tell us about dust and then make these generalizations about black men and dust and who's not on your level and all that other shit. And then I'm going to tell you where she really fucked up. And, and all I could hear was Steve Harvey and what he said to Keke Palmer when she was up on his show, and what was said about adding a man to your program. And Steve tried to tell Keke, you can't add a man. I got dudes for you. You can't add no man to your program. What are you doing? And we all know where Keke is right now, right? We all know where her situation is right now. You know what I'm saying? And this goes back to what I was going to say about, the teachings of Eboni K. Williams' mother and many other single mothers out here. The problem when you don't have a father in the picture because your mom linked up with the wrong dude, and I know y'all want to act like every black man out here that's not, with the mother is, Danny Glover from The Color Purple. But that's not the case. A lot of these women were on straight bullshit and got with these dudes, just based off of bullshit, plain and simple. You point in the direction of, hey, I got a dude over here, he's going to, such and such university, he's doing X, Y, and Z, and you know what they say? Pineapple. That's what these black women say. But then when they end up being a single mom, then it turns into, oh, woe is me. Oh, and these black men, and they came, and the black man, he walked in the room, and what happened? It was a drive-by ejaculation. I was just walking down the street, and they rolled the windows down, and they said, skeet, skeet, skeet. And the next thing you know, I was pregnant. I'm like, that's not what happened. No, I'll tell you what happened. I was walking down the street and the black man, he stopped me and then he waved his hand and said, these aren't the droids you're looking for. And the next thing you know, I was pregnant. I was on my back and my feet were in the air. Like, stop the motherfucking cap. Y'all bitches need to stop. Nah, what it really is, oh girl, he has so much swag and he was telling me, oh, I was so beautiful and all this other shit and girl, and I know he was fucking with that other bitch over there, but she ain't got nothing on me. Like, that's the reality of the type of shit that happens. But see, y'all don't wanna own that. But again, the whole thing, Steve tried to tell Kiki, like, yo, you can't add no man to your fucking program. And Eboni fucked up because she said right in there, she was like, I need a man that could basically, if I got to go to the south of France, he needs to be able to pay his own ticket, right? So that he could participate in my lifestyle. In your lifestyle? Did I hear anything about you being added to his program? You getting on board his ship? No, you didn't hear nothing like that. This is why Cap has always said, when a woman goes off and, she got a house in Harlem, what she say last time, she said $1.7 million home in Harlem. Anytime a woman buys her own house and she furnishes that shit and everything, it's pretty much a done deal because she's invested in that. It's like Cap was telling me a story about a woman that she had some table that she hand carved or crafted or some shit like that. And he was like, she ain't going to sell that. You know what I mean? Because you don't put your blood, sweat, and tears into it now. And see, that makes it very difficult, to go and sell it and then become a part of somebody else's situation. Right. And then, even when they got into the prices of like how much a man has to make to date Eboni K. Williams, forget all the looks. She dismissed all that and everything else like that. But here's the problem with not understanding what men of that caliber, want. And this goes into like Eboni, regardless of whatever. If you want a street dude, get you 3 street dudes that can tell you what a street dude wants. You want to date a drug dealer? Find you dudes that are in the streets that can tell you the type of bitch a drug dealer wants. But if you want to be, in the whatever, the upper classes, okay, try to affiliate yourself with men in the upper classes that can tell you what these men in the upper classes want. But it seems that women like Eboni K. Williams and all these other like black women that grew up in these matriarchal households are constantly going out here trying to add men to their program. They have they take no consideration in what the men want. Just none. Like you don't, like, all she can say is, well, maybe I'm not what they want, and she puts it on like she's a nerd or like she's got like, and I do believe that like if she was to like be with somebody that she felt comfortable with, they would see a side of Eboni K. Williams that the average person doesn't see. But the thing is like, even with the whole, like example, like what would a 45-year-old man want with Eboni K. Williams right now, and whether he had kids already or not. You can have men that they don't want to have kids in a such, they just don't want to have kids, or you can have a man that has kids and he's done having kids. What does Eboni K. Williams think that a 45-year-old man that has kids that are about to be grown or are grown, what does she think that they want Eboni K. Williams for? They want her to look like a good looking, woman on their arm. You know what I mean? They know they're not looking for a 20-year-old. They're not looking for some spring chicken, but they are looking for a woman who is, 40 years old and attractive. That is what they're looking for. The last thing that they're thinking about is running up in the bitch and pumping her up full of baby, which she even acknowledged, talking about the vasectomies. The men have, they're done. They're done. Again, going back to Dennis and Kevin Samuels, like all this, I gotta get a young woman, and she gotta be first. Bullshit. The majority of men who have had kids and those kids, and they done made their investment in their seeds and everything else, they can't wait until those kids are grown, they're fully functioning, and then they can go on with the rest of enjoying, the later half of their life. You know what I mean? Go maybe, travel, do some stuff. You know what I mean? Call, hey son, hey, what's going on? What are you and your girlfriend doing? Oh yeah, you know what I mean? But they don't have none of those responsibilities. They get to go back to what it was like before they had kids. Okay, that's what people are looking forward to. My kids are grown. I did my job. I handled the shit. I won. Boom. That's what they're looking forward to. They're not looking forward to, it's like refinancing a mortgage or some shit like that. It's like, I'm halfway done. Oh, let me hit the reset button on it. Like, no. If you were playing Mario Brothers and you got to, I don't know, level 10 or some shit like that, I said I was going to hit the reset button, you know what I mean, so that you could do the first half of the game all over again, what would you say? You say, hey man, don't do that. Don't do that. I'm almost at King Koopa. Like, that's what you would say, right? You wouldn't want me to hit the reset button. But that's what happens when you deal with a man that has kids. You know what I mean? And then you go off and at some later point, you're hoping that he's going to be the one to have kids. You know what I mean? I mean, seriously speaking, that for me is why, the danger zone, like when you're like, as a man, like when you're dealing with that's over 30, when you're dealing with women, that are anywhere near 30, like, and all you want to do is have fun, or you don't want the responsibility of the immediacy of family, because those women are freaking out. They're like, biological clock. You can't have fun with her. You can have fun with a 25-year-old. You can have fun with a 27-year-old. You're not going to be able to have, and I'm saying 27, that's the cutoff. That is the cutoff. Because when they start getting up to that 28, 29, 30, 31, they are freaking out. You know what I mean? They're like, you gonna put a ring on it? You gonna put a ring? That's all you're gonna hear. You know what I'm saying? So don't think that you can play games in that. Ain't nobody got time to waste like that. You know what I mean? And so you gotta, my advice is don't waste people's time. If that's not what you want, roll the fuss. Say, hey chick, I assume that you're looking for, X, and that's not what I'm looking for, and you roll the fuck out. Because trust me, these women will be angry and pissed off with you if let's see where things go. And then, fucking 5 years later, you're like, well, I don't really want to do this. Nah, don't do that. Don't do that. That bitch will stab you in your motherfucking sleep. I'm telling you. But, let me think what else is there. But I'm thinking of like, just the whole Dusty conversation. It's pointless to have. I want to know, again, go into the details of what was going on with the dude that had the 2-week vacation. I want to hear about that. I don't want to hear nothing about no dust that you ain't trying to deal with and you didn't deal with. Nah, tell us about the dude that offered a vacation in south of France and you decided not to go. You know what I mean? And then want to sit there and say, think about it. Does that even make sense? Oh, I can't trust the man's leadership. I can't trust this. I can't trust that because there's so much dust out here. Okay, well, Mr. Non-Dusty over here just offered you a 2-week vacation to France and you didn't go. What happened with that? See, and again, you're not going to be able to expose this shit until you dive into an analysis and you dive into an interrogation of these women when they're not dealing with dust. The dust shit is easy to dismiss. That's easy. Oh, he was dusty. That's like me. I mean, 60% of black women are obese, and 80% of black women are obese, and 80% of black women are overweight, and 60% are obese. And then you throw in 60% of black women, are mothers. So, that's why I'm with a white woman. That's easy. That's easy to do. You can easily then you sprinkle in some matriarchy or some shit like that. You know what I mean? It's like black men should be the one talking about there's only 3 black women for every 100 black men. They should be the ones saying that shit. You see? But doing those easy low-hanging fruit dismissals, I'm not interested in that. I want to know, with all the shit that Eboni K. Williams is talking, I want to know what was up with the dude in the south of France that again, from experience, from her own words, when she responded to Charlemagne on the Breakfast Club, I want to know why that didn't work out. I'd also like to know, forget her last ex relationship with the Jewish guy. No. Why did you divorce your first husband? I'd like to know the details on that. I think she previously covered that, but I'm also interested to know what went down with that situation. Was he not ambitious enough? You know what I mean? That might have been the case. But this idea that Eboni K. Williams going to sit there, I'm playing with house money and I'm surrounded by these people and that people, and I go here and go there and and act like this, I just can't find anybody on my level. You know what I mean? When I don't know what her net worth is, but I'm suspecting it's anywhere from $1 million to $5 million, something like that. She's somewhere in that ballpark. Some people would estimate less, 1 to 3 million. Okay, you a millionaire. You in the millionaires club. You're at the bottom of the millionaires club, but you're at the millionaires club. Most people can't say that, right? You make $100,000. You're what, 12? You're in upper 12% or something like that. You know what I mean? But again, there's fucking 330 million people in this country. You know what I mean? There's 40 million black men in this country. There are just as many black men in entertainment and in those sort of, Hollywood circles as black women. And yet you telling me, oh, I can't find anything, on top of the fact that, clearly by her own admission, her looks never held her back. You know what I mean? It's not like she's out here looking like Gabourey Sidibe trying to find a man. I'm like, you got the looks. You know what I'm saying? Right? And you roll in the circles. It's not like she's standing at the back of the line, when she goes somewhere, like she ain't on the list. And people don't know who she is. Right? But again, if you're not trying to be what these men want and nobody's taught you that, and you never got that half of the equation, you may look good. Yeah, dudes might want to bang you, but in terms of like, do I want her raising my kids? Even this, what she said about the Jewish guy, where he's having this sort of friend relationship with his kids, and she was on some, you're going to respect me. You know what I'm saying? And like, okay, so clearly the way he's raising his kids is not the way that he wants a mother to raise his. The way he's raising his kids is the way that he would most likely choose a woman that also supports the way that he's raising his kids. Eboni ain't that. Just off of the strength of that, he ain't gonna have a kid with you. A man may date you. A man may have you on his arm candy. You look, babe, you look beautiful. But when you dive into being the mother of a man's children who takes having children seriously, that is a whole different category. It's a whole different set of criteria. And a lot of y'all, you don't take that into consideration. If you listen to the interview, all you're going to hear is basically Eboni, and she does this in pretty much all of her videos. She talks about what she wants. but there doesn't seem to be any real specifics, like, or she'll talk about, what she's, found out or discovered about what the men don't want, right? But I'm like, but do you know what they do want? Right? All the stuff that she's selling, like even the part where she was like, basically, I'll build you up, I'll build you again. She doesn't even recognize the offense in that. Right. And this is the whole thing, like what I'm saying about the women that have this sort of like, it's almost like a transgender mindset where it's like they want to be the male and the female at the same time. They want the man to be ahead of them enough to give them the validation and speak to, whatever their self-assessment is of their own value. Right. But then at the same time, they don't like that dynamic. Like, so any time I hear a black woman talking about, I can build you, like, first off, she's like, she can't deal with a man that's quote unquote comfortable. Right. She's like, I will treat you hellaciously. Right. Okay, fine. But to suggest that if you got ambitious, I'm gonna get you to the next. What is with this? You always got, like, if we're talking about awesome, like, let's say the word is awesome. She wants a guy who's awesome. Okay. If he's already awesome, he was awesome when you met him. He's already there. He's already ahead of you. He's already kicking ass. The audacity of a woman to come into a man's life who was literally labeled as awesome and say, I could take you to the next level. Like just imagine Eboni K. Williams dating somebody like Elon Musk and being like, I could take you to the next level. Like, you're talking about the richest man, like if not the richest man on the planet, one of the richest men on the planet, like the second richest man on the planet, whatever it is. I'm like, the audacity of you to come into the space and say that. And a lot of black women, they really don't understand this. And they really don't understand this in the space or the realm of men, where men are competing with other men. Okay, real talk, like, men are not like they're not going to recognize women like that in spaces that are typically male led and male controlled. And I already know, saying that to Eboni K. Williams, Eboni would be in there. She would be like, oh, we going to change this. I'm a rebel against the idea, the notion of that. Okay. And you're going to lose. You are going to lose in that space. And if you hold on, and if you win, fuck it. If you win in that space, ain't nobody going to want to fucking date you. You know what I mean? Again, anytime women enter these, like, sort of male spaces and they, be running around swinging, yeah, men will give you a salute. They will be like, yeah, she's kicking ass, top sales rep, blah 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 blah. But they ain't gonna want to fucking date you because you got too much masculine energy. And that's another thing I wanted to say. Like, think about it like this, right? If let's say Eboni K. Williams came across a man that was, making as much money as she's making, right? Because she talked about I just want a man, he's got to be at least where I'm at. Okay, why would that man want to be with Eboni K. Williams? This is what so many women don't get. Why would he want to be with her when, all it's like, the situation ends up feeling like, the women are like, he's bringing sand to my beach, and then even the way it's phrased, I need a man that matches my level, like my level. When a man can go out here and get with so many other women that look up to him, think he's awesome, think he's great, and when he goes to pick her up, she's looking at him like, she's being elevated, to his level by him choosing her. She's not shoulder to shoulder with him, but she feels validated and she feels special and she feels desired and everything else because he is the shit. And I'm saying a man can go out there, he can go. I mean, just the amount of women. Just give a dude $1 million. Fuck it, $500,000 a year. Just give any man in America $500,000 a year. That motherfucker is gonna be out here and be a fucking savage. That's what's gonna happen. He's gonna pick exactly what he wants. I mean, down to the everything, the way her feet look. You see what I'm saying? Because he can. right? Where he go out there and get with Ebony K. Williams. Okay, let's say he's making whatever the fuck she's making. You know what I mean? And then you got to deal with all the yeah, we on the same level, and I did this and I accomplished that. Men don't want to hear that. They do not want to hear that. And again, I don't see Ebony ever being satisfied, even with a man that's blowing her out the water. I really don't see her satisfied, and I can't even see the man that's blowing her out the water wanting to choose, Ebony, unless, like, again, Ebony would be a great woman to have around if you were the type that you were a hyper focused man, you had a multi-million-dollar corporation, your kids were grown or you didn't want any kids. Oh yeah, Ebony all day, right? Because she's focused, she's going to help you, you can discuss things with her about, your business or whatever, just to bounce your ideas off of somebody. Okay, yeah, perfect. That's where everything that Ebony is saying would apply. But when you start getting into having a family with a woman, okay, a woman that is preoccupied with her own career and her own what do you want to call it? Her own concept of legacy. That's not who you want, focused on, or that's not who you want to be the mother of your children. It's just not. I don't know who told y'all that that's what men are focused on when they're thinking about a woman, being a mother. You know what I mean? When I think of a woman being a mother, I am thinking about, especially in the formative years, she's going to be spending 70% of her time with that child. I'm thinking of a woman that is, playing, with the alphabet blocks with the child and watching fucking freaking Baby Shark and Coco Melon, just over and over and over. The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round, on and on. Right? That's literally what I envision. Okay? The kindergarten type of setting. And a woman that's just like, Ebony K. Williams, we got to be in LA. Ebony K. Williams got to be at the lawyer conference. That doesn't scream, I'm going to be the best mom ever to me. That screams, I'm going to be basically an absentee landlord. And I'm going to go out here and get a nanny and be like some of these white women that got, wealthy husbands that go and get the nanny. And I don't know if y'all seen that video on TikTok where the white kids were running around screaming because the nanny was going back to Africa, and they scream. And, I was with a dark skinned woman in Philadelphia one time, and we were walking and we were trying to think where we were. It was in and around Center City, and we were walking, and she was extremely dark-skinned black woman. And we got to the light, and we were just walking, and there was a white lady with her child, and that child reached out to the woman I was with for dear life. Like she had all the milk in the world. And, I was like, what the hell was that about? And she told me, she was like, yeah, because in this area, it was a wealthy area. All these white women, they go out here and they get these Caribbean nannies. And anytime those little white children, they see a dark skinned woman, they're like caregiver. That is where I get my milk. That's where I get my food. That is where I get comfort. That when I get a boo boo, that's who rubs my head. That's who kisses my head. That's why that's why you got all these Strom Thurmond type of dudes. Because in the 1950s, you had all these freaking white men that were raised by black nannies. And some connection was made there. And then when it came to, them being sexually attracted, to the women, You're right. Again, this is a shining example of, your mama's black, like when black women throw that around, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I got to say to some of these white guys from the South in the 1950s, your nanny's black, your nanny's black. Yeah. And that's why, many of them could not keep their hands off of black women, because that's who raised them and breastfed them and everything else, and was the caretaker. And that's who they looked at as their mother. They didn't look at their mother as their mother, because their mother wasn't around. And it's so crazy, because you'll get these white women, they be feeling some type of way. I'm like, bitch, you ain't there. You ain't there. You know what I'm saying? Like you got the Jamaican lady or the fucking, the woman from Dominica, you got her there. That's why the kid is gravitating towards her, because you ain't there 95% of the time. You a career woman. And now your kids identify with mom, and who reads them nursery books and everything else. And when they're sucking their thumb and they're listening to, some nursery, story, Mother Goose or some shit in a Caribbean accent, you wonder why, they rush to go lay up on her and sit on her lap and not sit on yours. I seen that shit in person. I seen that shit, them white women, the child does not gravitate towards their own biological white mother, because bitch, you ain't there. You know what I mean? So, the same thing applies to, Ebony K. Williams and all that shit, all that career shit, that shit gotta stop. This is why it's like, it's the division of labor when it comes to, and men are not going to change like how we choose women. And that's the whole problem, because while feminism told women they could have it all, you know what I'm saying? Men have been on their path. You know what I'm saying? Men, that's not going to change the way that we view women. It's not going to, especially when you start talking about family and children and what we want out of, it. Again, the feminism has been having a conversation with itself. Okay, with itself. It's the dumbest thing in the world when you're trying to get, the other side to participate. Feminism thinks it's going to shame and browbeat men into compliance. I'm like, it's not going to happen. The men are just not going to choose you. And if you look around, that's what's been happening. Birth rates are down. Marriage rates are down. Feminism is not fucking winning. Feminism has lost. Feminism is on its last leg. And as the economy gets worse, you're going to start seeing women fucking scramble. I need a man. I need a man. I need a man. They're going to start scrambling. But you can't tell a woman that's in Ebony K. Williams' position. You can't tell her shit. I mean, it's like everything is a revelation. We've been sitting online talking about this shit for at least 10 years. For at least 10 years. So, it's like, 10 years ago, she was, in her 30s or late 20s. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, the whole concept, I was kind of irritated at that. I kind of like low key took that personally when she was like, when Ayala was, I'm like, Chick, this is like the first time you hearing this shit? That you got masculine energy and that you out here and you doing too much and you guilty and you raising you. This is the first time you hearing this shit. I'm like, see, this is the whole problem with y'all not only not listening to men, being dismissive of men. And I'm not telling you that you need to go out here and listen to every man out here. All I'm saying is you need to go out here and you need to, find the men that you actually respect, that you're not trying to fuck and ain't trying to fuck you, that you can talk to, and you can be like, how are men like how does this work? I didn't have my dad. I got nobody to tell me, or an uncle or something. I don't care who it is. But some man that you actually respect, which I already know for some of you feminists is practically impossible. But I'm saying, find that man and let him tell you what men are looking for. Most men will tell you. You know what I mean? They will be like, look, hey, men don't like women that are overweight. Men don't like women that got a bunch of kids. You know what I'm saying? Men like women that are feminine. And I mean, the whole list of everything Kevin Samuel said a million times. Okay? Even though, Kevin sometimes would even make, my eyebrows raise up. I'm saying the majority of what he said is in line with what the majority of the manosphere has been saying. Okay? and y'all just be out here just resisting that shit. And yeah, you can resist. Go ahead, resist all you want. And you're gonna be in the same position as Eboni K. Williams, at 40 or 41, whatever she is, and dealing with taking clomiphene and freaking doing your whole in vitro fertilization stint. That's what you're gonna be dealing with. You know what I mean? And then all the ramifications of when that child grows up and is like, you did what? Just like Kim Kardashian is going to have to answer, for there's a sex tape of you out here, doing the nasty with Ray J, and that's not my daddy, and that's out there. Oh, she gonna have, please wait till her sons get grown. She gonna have some serious problems. You know what I mean? But y'all don't, girl power. Y'all don't want to listen. Y'all think, that you can, change, overnight, 1,000 years of human evolution or more longer, millennia of human evolution. You all think that just because, women decided that feminism was a thing, in like the 1970s with radical feminism, that somehow, things are going to work out in your favor. I promise you they will not. I promise you they will not. But I think I'm done with this video. I think I've said everything that I wanted to say. But yeah, I'm already at 76 minutes, so let me end this video. That's my video. SWP out. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe. And for those of you who want to support the channel, please do. The Cash App is in the what is it? It's at the top of the page. YouTube got some new rules. It's at the top. You'll see it. And plus I always got it on the thumbnail. So whatever, because I took the time to make this video, and this video was long and took a lot out of me mentally. But anyway, that's all I got. That's my video. SWP out. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe.